Picked my rutabagas. I've got quite a few. There are some that are absolutely massive. Just have to clean them up and then put them in storage. Hi, welcome to Caribou Country Lifestyle. My name is Cheryl, and today we're going to go out and do some work in my empty raised beds. And I'm gonna bring you along and show you what I'm doing. Okay, so what I've done is I filled this wheelbarrow up with garden soil and compost. And now what I'm going to do is mix it up in the wheelbarrow so that all I have to do is add it to this long bed. This is the bed that we just installed this last spring. These other two beds were here the year before last that we had put in. So I'm just gonna turn the compost, because the compost is at the bottom. Move this in a little closer so that I'm not getting hooked on the fence. But I also have to make sure it's level so it doesn't tip over on me. Because I've had that happen to me too. Got a wheelbarrow full of stuff, and then all of a sudden you know it's tipping over. Okay, so I'm going to just start spreading this out, and then I'll take my rake and mound it up. But I definitely need a lot more soil on this bed, so I'm just going to put it right on the top. And then we'll move it around once I'm done. Whereas my raised beds, all I'm going to be doing is adding just straight compost to those raised beds. It didn't seem to get in the way of growing those squash. But it definitely needs more dirt. And I added compost and soil to this middle bed because that was the bed I had my potatoes in, and I actually added soil and brought it up around the potatoes as they were growing. I just mixed up my compost and dirt into my wheelbarrow, and then I added the soil, added that by filling up buckets, and that made it easier to put it around the plants, just to shake it in around. I'm just going to dump the rest of it right onto this bed. And then I'll go get another wheelbarrow, and that's basically what I'm going to do. So that was one wheelbarrow full. It'll probably take 4 to finish doing this bed. And I'm not going to add any more. Oh, there's a little baby potato. I better get that. It's soft, but I don't want any remnants of potatoes in this potato bed, because they'll start growing in the spring. And then I'll have volunteer potatoes, which would be fine if I was going to plant potatoes here again, but I am not. Next year, I think I'm going to put my potatoes in this back bed and have them grow on that. And then I don't know, I might put my brassicas in this middle bed and have my squash in the first bed. But this first bed is been depleted of soil as well, and I'm going to have to top it up with soil as well and compost. So this is where I had the potatoes, and I'm hilling up these potatoes, and I'm finding more potatoes still in this bed. So what I did last weekend, Saturday I didn't have a wheelbarrow. So then on Sunday, of course, it was raining, just like they had said it was going to start raining. And it started like at probably 6:37 in the morning, it started raining. So I came out here in the rain and I dug up the rest of my potatoes. And I have them in the basement on a tarp, and I'm just letting them dry out. And then I will be putting them into some plastic bins, and I'll have them stored in my basement in my cold storage room. That's the coldest room that we have, and it's a good temperature in there. So I'm hilling up this hill, I'm mounding up this dirt again, and I'm finding still potatoes in here. So I'm just putting the potatoes off to the side, and so far I found 3 different varieties, and so I'm going to add them to my potatoes when I go in. So I'm just mounding all this dirt back up, and that's how I'm finding all these potatoes. So I just went down the one side, and now I'm going down the other side, and I'm just mounding the dirt all up, and then I'll come along and I will flatten the top. So I've already done this far bed. So this far bed took 4 wheelbarrows full of garden soil and compost, and now I'm just mounding this one up, and then once I'm done mounding it up, then I will go along the top and I just pat it all down. So then it's a flat surface along the top, but it's mounded up. And this is how I'm finding the rest of my potatoes. Yeah, I don't really feel like I need to add any more dirt to this middle row. I think I've got a pretty good amount of dirt, and it's mounted up pretty good, because like I say, I did add soil to the potatoes. So now I am going to get 4 more loads of topsoil and compost, garden soil and compost, and I'm going to add it to this first bed here. And once I've done that, then we're going to go up to the raised bed garden and we'll amend those beds too. And now I'm just going to rake up the pieces that fell down the side, and then I'll go over the whole thing over the top and just kind of tamp it down a little bit. On this bed, it mostly needed it at that end and in the middle, not so much at this end. Ever so slightly moving this around, because I feel like it's very narrow at the top, and I'm just trying to level it out a little bit without pushing everything over. I just feel like it has to come this way a little bit more, because it's supposed to be a 3-foot wide hill, and I'm not feeling like that's the case. I'm not going to add any more dirt, but because if I have to, I can add some more in the spring, but I just don't feel like this bed is as wide as it should be. I think I'm happier with that now. Okay, there we go. I'm happy with this. These 3 beds are put to rest for the winter. So let's go up to the top and we'll start dealing with that and we'll see how far we get. So we're down here in the basement and the lighting's not that great, but here are the Christina potatoes. I had 2 hills left of the Christina potatoes, so that's what I got from there. These were a few of the Jennifer potatoes that I ended up finding when I was taking out the other potatoes. These here are the russet Burbank potatoes next. Next to them, these are the Binchy potatoes. And then last, these are the cyclamen potatoes. If I was to do when I do potatoes next year, I would definitely do the Christina potatoes, the Jennifer potatoes, the Yukon Gold potatoes, and I like the Norland potatoes, so I think I would definitely want to try those. And I've heard really good things. My sister has done the Carib potatoes, and I wouldn't mind trying to see if I can get my hands on some of those. So those are definitely 5 varieties that I would grow for next year. So first I have to get rid of all of these plants that I still have. I'm getting rid of my plants. I'm taking in my decorations and putting them into my garden shed to have over the winter. So I'm going to pull out this sunflower. So they're pretty hard to get out, so hopefully it doesn't take too much effort. Oh, this one's coming out pretty good. But the root ball on that is pretty good. So I'll cut this up with my pruners. I have some anvil pruners and I'll cut that stalk up with those. I'm just going to fill this hole in. I'm just going to leave this time, but these snapdragons, unfortunately, I'm going to pull those out too. And I've got some osteospermum. That's going to get dumped out. Put this pot in my shed. There's another osteospermum. Like, I hate pulling these plants out because they're still green and they're still growing. But, I mean, come on, we're at the end of October. It's going to be Halloween in just a handful of days. So we got to get this stuff done and out. So I'll just take out these decorations and put them back in my shed along with these pots. So I've kind of hit a squirrel, and now I'm reorganizing my garden shed. And what I'm doing is I've put these black S-hooks up on these rafters, and I'm hanging all my wind chimes inside the garden shed for over the winter. Plus, so in behind these wind chimes, I've also, on the back wall, I got these heavy-duty metal hooks. I got them actually from a silent auction at a wild game banquet. And now what I've done is I've installed those and I've put all my hoops hanging on there. I have another metal bracket there to, I'm not sure what I'm going to put on there, but yeah. Then down below, I'm organizing my pots and I'm putting all of my cages, stacking them up in here. I've swept the floor. This is my sifter that I use if I want to sift through my compost. My dad built that and I kind of inherited that. And behind the sifter is my T-post pounder. But I've started going through all my plastic pots, and I've got all these hangers that don't match to any of the pots. And then over here I have all of these plastic pots, and I'm going to go through them and get rid of a bunch of them because I don't need all these plastic pots in here. So I'm kind of just organizing my shed and bringing in all my decorative stuff and all my pots, and I'm just trying to get this space figured out. So yeah, a little squirrel came and distracted me. I'm cleaning out these beds and I'm having a hard time taking down these really pretty sweet peas. But I mean, yeah, the year has to come to an end and this is it, so I guess I'm pulling them out. Don't want to be, but that is what I'm doing. And we'll be adding this to the compost as well. So, sorry sweet peas, you're pretty, but this year has come to an end. And we will enjoy you again next year. Although I do have a couple of sweet pea pods over on this other one, and I'm going to pick those and save them, and I will dry them and use them again for next year. And these ones were kind of a two-tone pinky white one, really pretty as well. So we'll be saving the pods from those, so I might as well, maybe I'll just pull up the plant, cut the bottom part of it off, and take the top part, or the stem that has the pods on it. I'll take that inside, let it sit on one of my racks, and it can dry up inside, and then I'll remove the seeds from inside the pods. I think that's my plan. Hey, I got some hikari salad turnips. I'm not going to get rid of those. We are going to eat those. Yum. Oh, yeah, that one, the bugs got it, so we'll throw this one away. But these other three that I have, I'll just eat them fresh. It's not really any amount to be doing anything with it, so I'll take them in the house, clean them up, eat them fresh. Even in this flower bed, like, there's a lot of stuff that hasn't died. None of my snapdragons have died. None of the Nicotiana or the stalks, but I mean, I can't just keep coming out here and checking the garden to see what's dead and what's not. Like, there are clearly some things. My lilies, I will just clip off at the base, leave the root in the ground, because then it is a perennial and it will come back. But I need to dig up all of this chamomile that's come in here. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna call it a day and take everything out of here, including, I might leave the parsley just because I wanted to save some of this Italian flat leaf parsley and I wanted to dehydrate it. I might pick the curled parsley and I can use that up right away because I don't have as much of it as I do the flat leaf parsley, and I'll just dehydrate that flat leaf parsley. I think that is what my plan will be. So I've pretty much taken out all my flowers. I'm leaving this lavender in here just because you never know. Lavender wood doesn't usually grow or come back in this area. This is a bleeding heart plant that my sister had given me in the summertime. So I'm just going to leave that in there and see what happens. But I want to show you these lilies. This lily right there has started growing again. I was clipping it off at the base and I was like, oh my gosh, it's starting to grow again. Then I have another one right there, those green leaves right there, that's another lily starting to grow again. I was super surprised by that. So that was pretty cool. So now all I'm going to do is go along and brush all that dirt back into those little pockets and dump my bucket into the compost. And I can't use the wheelbarrow again, because if you look over here way in the distance, I'm gonna zoom in. So my husband is over on that bed that runs along the driveway, and he is cleaning out all of those, cleaning up, not cleaning out, but cleaning up the junipers, the potentillas, and we have an excess of bark mulch left over, and he is going to be spreading that back in those beds, and that's super amazing. I am so impressed. He has been talking about doing this for the last 4 years, and he was looking at it and he's like, oh, I should really, it's perfect time to do that. And I'm like, well, because he was also going to be putting my winter tires on my car, and I said, well, don't forget, you have to put the winter tires on my car. And he's like, oh yeah. So he did that first thing this morning, and now he's working on that, and I am pumped that that is getting done, because that is something he's been wanting to do ever since we moved into this property. I'll show you another thing I'm leaving in the garden. I'm leaving this kale. This kale, I can still pick off of that until we get a big frost. So now I'm pretty much finished. Look at those beds. Those beds look amazing. Add compost into this bed because it's pretty depleted, and compost into this bed. It definitely needs it. And over here, I got to take these Hakiri salad turnips in. Like, those are pretty nice looking. Compost into here, and I will put it in around everywhere and in around my kale. Pretty much all the beds need a dressing of compost. But because Jamie's got the wheelbarrow again, I'm going to have to wait and get to that at another time. So I guess that's all I'm going to be able to do for this weekend. We're having company over. We have family over pretty much every weekend. And so I'm doing meatloaf, some mashed potatoes, and I'm making, it's called a Hawaiian carrot cake. So it has crushed pineapple and coconut in it as well, besides raisins in it. And then I've already baked that, and then I'm going to be doing a cream cheese icing to put over top of it. So that's going to be awesome. So I guess that's all I've got for this weekend. We'll be doing some more next weekend. I might be able to get out here throughout the week after work a couple of days. In a couple of weeks, we're going to be having our time change, and we always go back an hour. So then it's going to get darker sooner. So I won't have as much time after work in a couple of weeks. But anyways, thanks for joining me, and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now.